Welcome to Radio Fixer's channel. Subscribe for upcoming videos. In the last episode, we focused to repair cracked bakelite as well as polish it to the best result. In this episode, I'm going to focus to work on electronic portion of this radio. Also show you how to work on multi-section capacitor that is filled up with epoxy. Also, I'm going to polish this dial lens that is yellowed out to see if I can save it. Let's get started. Really, my goal is to create these videos so a brand new person can use the information and be able to get into the hobby. It is really a wonderful hobby and very rewarding to bring back something that totally dead back to life and sing again. This is another John's radio. His daughter dropped off this radio. He told her I would be glad to fix this for her. I'm just checking it out. Of course, it's AM radio. So this is how it look like. This is where you change, of course, the dial. See here, on and off, and also there's an auto switch. This side, of course, is a volume control where the speaker is, as you see. Let's look at the back. That's the model number, 45462R. I don't see any schematic so far. You see how beautiful this bakelite is. So hopefully we can clean it and bring this type of shine back to the entire radio. This is not polarized, as you can tell, so I'm going to replace this with a polarized cord. I highly suggest you do with all the radios. It seems like there are 3 screws to take these things out. Of course, you pull this out, this knob, then here. Alright. I always use a mouse pad, to work on the radio, because then I can move it around easy like that without scratching it or cause any more damage to radio. Sometimes I watch YouTube, people are very rough with radio. I like to, protect them. We will not remove this. These are antenna that it hold to the chassis. Alright, this should come out since the other one is broken, so I'm not going to remove it. Let's see how easy it's going to come out. Okay. Just be gentle when you pull these things out. You don't want to cause any damage. Okay, that is out. The noise that you heard is this lens that will fall off. Somehow I need to protect it. When I put it back, it has a little crack, of course, here, but the front is not bad. I might be able to clean this. Alright? Usually when you take the radios out, they're all dusty, dirty, so you should clean, of course. I'm going to take it outside the house to clean everything. One thing I noticed about this chassis, you see that? This speaker, it bends this direction, so I have to fix that as well. The cloth still is in great condition, so I'm going to hold on to this one. Let's check under the chassis. Hopefully it's going to be a simple fix. Definitely I need to work on this electrolytic capacitor. I'm checking everything. That's also capacitor. There is not that much really part in this radio. Hopefully it's going to be easy to fix. It seems like there's a 3 capacitor here. There's a 60 microfarad, 20 microfarad. I assume the last one seems like 20 microfarad as well, as you see. So there are 3 capacitors here. I'm going to take this apart. I'm going to install all the capacitor inside this container. That's the way I like to fix the radio, so next person know exactly what's going on. Alright, let me take this out, clean it, bring it back, and start, working on this capacitor. Alright, I already adjusted this frame, just pushed it back to be straight. As you see, the speaker is in perfect condition. We don't need to worry about that. I'm going to use this glue to glue it. It's going to be a straight out of bottle. Very thin layer is fine, because you don't want to get glue inside the speaker. Majority of the speakers are repairable. I'm going to add here a video for you to watch, which is walk you through repairing any type of a speaker. Hopefully that video going to help you if you have any problem with the speaker. Let's say if the cone is missing piece, or need any type of repair. In that video I will discuss how to repair it. I'm going to lift this up since it was broken in 2 pieces. I'm going to put this back carefully right over it like that. Make sure it fit. I'm going to use this to hold it down. I need to remove this multi-section capacitor so be able to work on it. So here, as you see, they staple together. So I'm going to drill this so I'll be able to remove this. I don't want to cut it because I want to put this back where it was. Okay? I'm going to use this trimmer, which I bought it from Amazon. Again, everything I'm using I add in description. Feel free to check it out. It's a great product. It's a very reasonable price, come with tons of tools. So let me drill it. Alright, I drilled it out, so I'm going to pull this up a little bit. Of course now I can remove this. And definitely I suggest to do this instead of cutting it. If you cut it, then you're going to have a hard time to put it back, of course. After drilling, make sure to clean everything. Alright, it is out. Now actually I can get to it and work on this. Next, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a picture of all these 4 wires that it comes out of this capacitor where they're actually soldered, so later on I remember how to solder them back. Of course, the yellow wire is a 60 microfarad, about 150 volts, that is connected right here. So let me take a picture of that, so later on I remember. Here, capacitor red is 20 microfarad, and that's 150 volts. So you saw that right here. Let me take a picture in that one as well. And green one, which is 20 microfarad, but it's just 15 volts. But again, I haven't seen the capacitor like that before. The green comes out of here, goes all the way down. You see that? It goes soldered right here. See, that's where it's installed. So I'm going to take a picture of all this connection, then later on I'm going to remember how to install them. And I highly suggest to do that. If you're new in this hobby, definitely take a picture. Take tons of pictures. The good thing about picture is you can erase them if you don't need them, but if you don't have it, it's going to be difficult to remember. And the black, which is the ground, is soldered right here. See that? It's soldered right here. That's the black. Which here says black is a common. As I mentioned before, they're all been marked. So always follow this. Alright, let's test now this to see how bad it is. One side, of course, goes to the ground. The black was ground, of course. Let's check this one, the red. That's supposed to be 20 microfarad. How about this one? This one should be 60 microfarad. See what it shows. And ESR is 20. That is too high. If quickly we check this, 160 volts, if you come down to the chart here across from 47, it jumped to 100. If you look at 100, so somewhere between 1.9 and 0.87 ohms. That is where it should be. ESR here, as you see, is a 20. So that one is bad as well. Now let's check the last one, which is a green, which I cut it all the way down here. That's the green. Again, it's not reading it, as you see. So definitely this capacitor was bad, and we need to take care of it. That's about 22 microfarad. If you come across 160, that's a 4 ohm. Of course, as you saw, this is not reading it at all. I'm glad we took this out. So let's work on this. Sometimes this type of multi-section capacitors are filled with epoxy. You will see some of them, filled with tar, some, beeswax or mixture of beeswax and tar. This one was filled with epoxy. So the best way to take everything out of this, you need to use some tool. Of course, be very careful, put it in lower speed. I usually start with a small one like this. I drill the center of it. So gradually change to something that the fit here be a little loose. I drilled all the way down to get to capacitor itself. Was this far I had to go in. You see, it's about ½ inch I had to go in. After drill, of course, you empty all the garbage inside. This is how it's going to look like inside. So all the epoxy is gone. Then I go to screws like this. Put it in the center. So go deep enough. Then you start pulling this back. Sometimes you need pliers to pull it back. Of course, this way you see, it comes out like this. Alright, I need to clean inside here. This is how it look like. So as you see, this is how the capacitor was put together. If you look at it, about ½ inch or more, they put epoxy in the top. Epoxy is much harder to remove. This is what I found out is much easier to do it this way. Hopefully this is going to help you. Alright, let's now work on those 3 capacitors to install it inside here. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, yellow means 60 microfarad, that's 150 volts. So I pulled those colors already out. Wires is asking for yellow, red, and green. Already cut a couple of them to the size that I need. So of course I suggest you use some of this tool because it's going to make your job easier. I'm going to put the links in the description section of this video, so feel free to check them out. They're really good product. Of course, these 3 are so obvious, cutting the wires, trim it. Then I'll show you, what I'm using these for. These are a great tool to have. Usually I put this somewhere close to the capacitors or resistors when I solder them to absorb a majority of heat here. Because I don't want that 350 degrees or higher heat get to the capacitor. So this actually going to reduce the amount of heat goes inside the capacitor. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me show you how I did this. So I got this wire. This is the solid wire because I won't be able to bend it easy. So after you trim it, you twist it pretty well like that. Now I'm going to twist that around this. So I bring it down here like that. And see, like that. See what I'm doing? This is one of the techniques. Some people, they make a pigtail. Hopefully I'm going to show you in this video how to do that too. You see that? I don't want any sharpness there out. I can cut the extra one out, or alright, you see what I did? Hopefully you can see it. So I'm going to use this here, put it close to capacitor. Now I can solder here. Alright, let's solder it. Okay. I'm going to use the same technique for the other one. Just let it stay here for a while until cool off. So as you notice, I put all the grounds together. You see all these 3 capacitor grounds together. That is ground. This is ground. Of course, the other side is ground as well. So I twist them together in the center. You see that? That's all three of them are twisted together. Then the positive side, this is 25 microfarad, 160 volts. That is the 60 microfarad, 160 volt. So I have one more here. I'm going to solder the green wire right to here, solder the black wire to the center. Okay? Alright, next what I'm going to do, I'm going to replace this non-polarized to polarized. Again, I highly suggest to do that. You want to make sure the radio is safe. Suggest very highly if you're new in this hobby, take a lot of pictures before you start disconnecting parts. Believe me, you're going to forget where they go. I'm going to replace that cord with polarized cord. Here in US, the polarized cord, you see one side is thicker than the other side. This one usually they call it hot, or some people call it plus. This is neutral, some people call it ground, some people call it negative. So this is how the polarized cord look like. The small side is always a hot side. So this should go to the switch, not to the ground, of course. The way you test it, pretty simple. You get a multimeter, set it up to the sound. One side goes to the smaller side. Then majority of time they mark the cord, and sometimes like this there is no marking at all. So if they mark it, you know that is the hot side. So here, of course, as you saw, I put it right here in the hot side. Let's see which one it is. See, there's no sound, so this should be the ground. See, this is the positive side. I get a highlighter, just I highlight a little bit. When I install it, I know which side it goes to the switch. Oh, you see that? All right, so let's install it. I hooked this up to the ground section. This is where actually multi-section capacitor ground was soldered right here, as you see. So this should be the ground. I hooked this up. Now I want to find out the ground needs to be connected to here or here. No sound. So this is going to be ground. So the ground cord should be hooked up to here and the positive or the hot side to this side. All right. So I cut this capacitor, it was right here. I cut it to be able to measure it. When the capacitor is hooked up both sides, you cannot measure it. You have to unsolder or cut it to be able to measure it. This is a 0.047 microfarad. That's a 400 volt DC. Let's measure it to see how off it is. That's a 63, almost 64 nanofarad. So that's going to be 0.063 or 64 microfarad. So let's key this into the calculator that I put together to see how off this is. Alright. As I mentioned in my other video, this is a database I put together to make my job easier. So let's see what's the capacitor tolerance. I'm going to go right here. Of course, this is not electrolytic. This other type of capacitor, we're going to type it here. That was 0.47. Was it 20%? As you saw, it shows in the capacitor. So here, the minimum is 0.037. The maximum is 0.056. See that capacitor is over, the maximum value. So we're going to use this type of capacitor. The part number is 473 and tolerance, this one is going to be 10%. So let me find that capacitor. Alright, I removed this capacitor. This is a molded type of capacitor. My understanding is these two, they are same. This is the cardboard type and that's the molded type. This one usually it has a reading right on it. This one is a color code. So I'm going to key this color code into the database that I designed to make my job easier. Let's see what type of value this is. Alright, let's key the data in. This is right here is a bumblebee capacitor. Let's key those information in. The first band is brown. The second band is black. The third one is yellow. The fourth one is black. And here for voltages, there is a yellow band. And the next one, there is no band on the capacitor, is just black. So I'm going to use the black here. Alright, that's here in the bottom what it's telling me. This is the 0.1 microfarad. The minimum value is 0.08. The maximum is 0.12. And also here in the bottom shows this is a 400 volt capacitor. This capacitor that I pulled out is pretty close to this range, but since I remove it, I'm going to replace it, so down the road we don't have any issue. So let me find a 0.1 capacitor to install it under the chassis. Alright. Let's focus to polish this yellowed out plastic dye lens. You see, also for this lens, I'm using the same product, the same process that I cleaned the cabinet I'm going to use here. It was very, very yellow, this. Now, majority of the yellow came out. I have a video I suggest to watch. I'll walk you through step by step what to do to clean your car lens if it get foggy or yellow, like this one was very yellow. By the time I finish with it, it's going to be very clear. Alright, we do it from inside and also outside. Alright, then I washed it with soap and water very well. I can add some car wax to it to keep it like this condition for a long time. So let's install this inside the cabinet. See, I'm not going to glue it with anything, just I put it like there. That's the way it was originally. Alright, let's put this inside. It has 3 screws, which I put it in, and as soon as stop, let it go. Do not force it. If you force it, you're going to crack. The big lock going to crack. Now let's test it. Alright, this radio is completed. I already turned it on. Let's adjust the volume. As you see, the clock is working pretty well. I'm going to put in a sport station so YouTube doesn't kick us out.
Take a look at the NFC.
They don't like any music.
Playing a little bit later on tonight. They're in. How big of a threat
it sounds very good.
Here's coaching matters as well. Caleb Williams obviously took 68 sacks last year, something like that. 64, somewhere right around in that number. And this offense is really.
Of course, the speakers that side.
Lead. I mean, and they're in a good division. You're talking about the Packers, the Lions, the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, they're sitting there, and no one
turns to the beautiful radio, as you can tell.
If you were to put money on the Chicago Bears to win a division,
let me turn it around.
Nobody would do it. Everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers looking to keep their playoff hopes alive with a win in Miami. The Dolphins starting a young quarterback for the second time, looking to see what they have in Quinn Ewers' Week 17 matchup, and it is time for kickoff. Let's set it down right now to Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, Florida, and once again, our crew with the call with Mike Tannenbaum. Here's Steve Levy.
Let me turn this thing down. This radio looks just fantastic. Is ready to go back to his owner. I'm sure she's going to be very happy to see her dad's radio is working again. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be honest with you, it takes so much time to make these videos, editing, uploading, and make sure there's enough information that it actually makes sense, if you want to follow. At this time, I want to take the opportunity and thank my subscribers with their uplifting comments. You always encourage me to upload more videos, since this is just a hobby of mine. Again, I appreciate you. Enjoy all these videos, and you all have an awesome day. Take care. If you're interested to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and you will be notified when a new video being uploaded. You have a great day.